Yeah. So I guess we are live now. Can somebody confirm? एक्चुअली थोड़ा सा लैग भी होगा आई गेस.
अच्छा.
हाँ, तो इसमें कमेंट्स में ना शायद थोड़ा लैग होता है. एक सेकंड, लेट मी कंफर्म.
वो लाइव दिखा रहा है सिंस
हाँ
27.
हाँ, एक बार मैं ये भी खोल लेती हूँ. यूट्यूब पे दिखा देगा ना. हाँ हाँ, लाइव है, लाइव है, लाइव है,
अच्छा.
स्टार्टेड. हाँ, वेट, मैं पहले इंट्रोड्यूस करती हूँ फिर आप बोलना.
ओके.
हाँ, तो like as everyone knows, as this is a session for system design, I have already given few interviews for which system design was required as an intern, and it was actually quite shocking that not many people know about it. From even working professionals don't know about it, and I got to know this from LinkedIn, and I thought that like we thought that this should be something that more people should be aware of. So even Indra has like got asked both HLD and LLD in multiple companies where he interviewed both as an intern and as a full time. So like today we'll be sharing most of the things about system design, like how what things are asked and why is it important. Also how the interview process goes about system design, both LLD and HLD. I agree that HLD is not as common for SWE roles, for software engineering roles, but LLD is still seen a lot in final year, and not only in final years. I guess also for interns, LLD is asked sometimes, and then HLD. I myself have experienced both, as in the interview process of application engineer intern at Google, and in also for the site reliability engineer at LinkedIn. So same goes for Indra as well. So I hope Indra will introduce himself now. And yeah.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So I'm Indra, and I am I'm a former intern at SRE LinkedIn, and I'm also an upcoming intern at Browser Stack, where I join as an SWE. So at LinkedIn, I had a system design round, dedicated high level system design round, and for Browser Stack, I had a dedicated uh, low level design round, which is generally labeled as a machine coding round. And also I've given other interviews where, like, at Bloomberg and Cred, where also they asked questions from concepts of um, system design. And there are also a lot of companies that I know that my friends and my batchmates and my seniors have been interning or have been interviewed, uh,
Yeah.
and they have given rounds, dedicated rounds for system design.
Yeah. So, like, first of all, like, I think we should touch upon like what is exactly system design. Like, why is it asked so much in interviews? Like now, I guess since everyone, like, the level has increased a lot. Like if you can see that in the OAs, the level of CP has increased a lot. Similarly, like since the craze has increased so much in the in this field, that everybody is doing a lot of CP, a lot of DSA. So I think this round is specifically asked to do some more kind of filtering, that they are asking system design concepts in. And now I have also seen that in the OS, OOPS, DBMS thing also, now people have the interviewers have started going a bit deeper. Now I many of my friends told me this time that top 50 questions did not work for them because
Yeah.
interviewers have started going deep. So yeah, like you can continue more about like why system design and what is like system design, so that more people get an overview about it, because it's
Okay.
not an conventional subject in our curriculum, right? It's not
Yeah.
like OS, DBMS. So yeah.
Yeah. So that the concepts of system design is nowhere taught in colleges in general.
Yeah.
So if someone asks me, like, I'm also a very beginner when it comes to system design, but I don't know if there exists any accurate definition to that particular term. But if someone would ask me, then system design is a concept which engineers use in order to build applications or systems in general in a scalable, reliable, and fault tolerant fashion. So
Yeah.
these key terms come into play if anyone is brainstorming their way through system design. uh, and these terms are not really very new to people who are reading going through CSE fundamentals. Like scalability can be found in databases,
Yeah.
reliability and fault tolerance can be found in error handling and all of those things. So the concepts that are actually fed to us in colleges actually are important, and I have actually been there where I've been complaining that bhai ye log react kyun nahi padha dete, and all of those things. But actually these terms have significance into the real world scenario, where earlier I was building systems onto my building applications onto my laptop, and they were running fine. कोई error नहीं आता था. But when you go into the industry and you start experience all of those things, then you get to know, and when you read system design, then you get to know that how operating systems, networks in general, or file systems, queues, all of those
Yeah.
things come into the picture. But they have been taught to us in a very fundamental and a very segregated fashion, which makes it boring for people.
True, true. Also, like when I was exploring system design, I think the key levels, though I felt that these concepts are very interrelated, but they then while learning these concepts, you need to think about the kind of database you are using. So you have to also think
Sorry,
about the kind
Tanya,
of
I guess I
database
lost
you
you.
are using.
Is it my internet or your internet?
Yeah, is it fine now?
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
fine
it's
now.
fine. Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying that while studying DBMS, what I felt is that like they teach us on a very low level that this is NoSQL and this is SQL databases, but that actually comes in part while you think of designing systems. Like when you think about horizontal scaling or vertical scaling, then these concepts really come into the picture. Or you think about redundancy, then there are things when you have to think about fault tolerance. So for that, you need to think about the kind of database you are using. So you have to also think about, like, for different services you have to use different kind of databases. It's not that you always have to go with NoSQL only. SQL databases can also be used for some particular things, and if you are studying DBMS thoroughly, then only will be able to get the idea, get the gist of it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
And like, what are your thoughts about low level design, which is like very like mostly asked nowadays in product based companies for freshers?
Yeah, like if I am to differentiate with them, like let's say if this is the code, then high level design is what we view it from a very high level. And as the name suggests, low level design is very close to the code when you actually code it out. So if there are different types of the two types of interviews are, as we discussed, is high level and low level. So I've
Yeah.
given both of them. The high level interviews are such that where you are expected to draw the architecture that you are planning
Yeah.
to code out, and
Yeah.
how are you going to tackle any of the faults or failures that your system or
Yeah.
application is experiencing. And
Yeah.
whereas in a low level system design, where you are either asked to build an end-to-end application in a 2 or 3 hour round, or some companies also host it for 6 hour long. but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, so that is the major difference, where you are supposed to code it out. And often there are also low level design interview rounds where you are only asked to uh, design how you are going to code it out with the help of classes and objects, like
Yeah.
oops concepts and all. Yeah,
Yeah.
so one is where you work very close to the code and you actually type out code and make the application run, and the other one is you discuss it in general by with the help of
Correct.
drawings and all, how are you going to tackle that particular problem.
Yeah. So even I guess that the OOPS knowledge is very, very fundamental in this low level design thing
Yeah.
because there is all about creating classes and objects. So yeah, even I had given apart from this, I think then sometimes interviewers get into a mix of both. Like high
Mm.
level design, mostly people expect that there is no code, and low level design is like you have to code in the interview. But then they will ask you about database design, and
Yeah.
then the internal implementation of databases, like how will you represent them and all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is also one significant part which I faced in one of my interviews, that to
Mm.
implement the database. And then what I did, I was creating nested maps, and I created a 4 level nested map. Even I was like, but yeah, that is the kind of structure that generally um, gets followed. Even I saw in some of Gaurav Sen's videos that yeah, database design is like a bit trickier part, and then that tests your data structures knowledge also,
Yeah.
because database design is such kind of thing. And then again, the discussions about it, like which database will you prefer for this, will it be a SQL or a NoSQL database. So in these kind of things, your high level design knowledge also comes into play.
Mm.
And then like while drawing out the services that you feature, or like whatever system has the functional requirements, then you will be like having services and APIs. For that, your low level knowledge will come into
Yeah.
play, and then you have to write code for all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I also wanted to like ask you about which companies which generally ask system design for freshers and interns, and also like the kind of roles that they ask.
Mm. So actually, there is a long list of companies. Like there are a lot of startups that focus a lot on low-level design rounds. They actually want to filter employees where even for internship roles, they want to filter employees where who can write quality code in less amount of time.
Correct, correct.
Right. So as was the case for Browser Stack, where I was supposed to build an application in 2 hours. It was not a very high level application, but still they look into the quality of your code and how you understand that a system should work. Then
Yeah.
so to list a few companies, there are Bloomberg, which takes a very rigorous system design interview rounds that I know of.
It is
There is
famous
also,
for system design
yeah,
also.
yeah, it is actually famous for it. Then there is Atlassian also taking rounds. Then of course there is Google for application engineers, and even cloud roles also, for cloud roles Google takes system design rounds. For LinkedIn
Also,
SRE
but
and
yeah,
hmm. So what the scene is that what the scene that LinkedIn is that LinkedIn generally does not hire um freshers. They generally hire interns. So for internship roles, SREs are expected to go through a system design round, where SDs are not really expected to go through a system design round. But
yeah,
for LinkedIn SDs, let's suppose someone is interviewing for SD1 role, and he or she can be a fresher. Like in case of some people I know,
yeah.
have got into LinkedIn as a fresher, and they were
As an
screened
SD.
out through a, yeah, as an SD1, and they have been screened out with the system design round. They were asked to design a particular application there.
One
So
additional round they went through, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Even I
and they
have
went
already.
through and uh, so that is the case, and for roles, to be specific with roles, when at college we cannot really specify, like, yeah, when after 1 or 2 years itself I just want to be an SD and I will not explore these cloud
Yeah.
roles and all of those things. And that is a wrong idea in the head, I guess, because
Yeah.
everything comes into the same umbrella, and we don't have the knowledge of first what an SD does and what the other roles expect you to do, and second what the pay is. The pays are generally equivalent to SDs or maybe higher than SDs or SWEs. So since there is not much awareness over there, the LinkedIn post that you shared, Tanya, so everyone was commenting over there that who hires via system design round for freshers
Yeah,
or interns.
I was
Why not
actually
that is
shocked.
yeah,
The
exactly.
interviewers who only take our rounds, like the persons were like the at those level, and then they did not know that their own company is taking the interview rounds of system design for interns. So yeah, um,
Exactly. Yeah, that is a management. And you know, people should look into the matter, like research कर लो उसके बाद फिर comment करो,
yeah,
because spreading
exactly.
wrong knowledge is not really
Yeah.
a good thing.
Also,
Just
one more thing I don't understand, like SD is getting hyped a lot, the SD role is getting hyped a lot, and
mm,
people think that everything apart from SD is just like a support role, like a
yeah,
customer care support role kind of a thing. Which is such a wrong notion, to be honest, because like it's just saying that while you're preparing for JE, you say that okay, I'm interested in this branch, so I will take this branch in college, but you have never actually studied, you have never seen the curriculum. How do you know that where your interest lies? Just
mm,
because you like physics, you will say ki, I want to take mechanical engineering, but physics is taught to everyone. It is like everywhere. If you like integration, you will say that I will take like some BSMS maths kind of branch, but
mm,
then maths is like in every single branch, so you do not know. So that is the thing that I would say that is going like nowadays for SDE roles. Like people just know about one role and they think that all other is just trash.
uh,
But we also know that like in LinkedIn only, like let's take an example of LinkedIn. They hire SRE interns, they just hire five six people every year for SRE. And then I think even these people get converted to PPO, and I don't think they hire SRE externally. I think they
yeah,
just hire for interns. So and
mm,
then when these people get PPO, they get converted to SRE, and the pay was like higher than SDs, but now
yeah,
it's at par. So
equivalent.
like yeah, it's like equivalent now, so people should explore other options as well. Like they should not get confined to one domain, because I can also see that what is this SD thing is making people do DSA deliberately, even if
Yeah,
like they are not that much interested into it, making them do CP deliberately. So people are not even exploring other options,
mm,
like web solutions engineer or technical cloud associates, roles like this. People can like okay, if they don't want a lesser paying role, then they can always research more about the roles and research more about the interview process, which like
mm,
nowadays everybody is getting a fixed roadmap, so they do not even want to research.
yeah.
That is also the case. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. The yeah, the YouTube drama that has been going on, like
yeah,
generally people in college seem to go for a black and white concept, like either
yeah,
I go for dev or I go for
CP.
CP or all of those things. It is not like that. Whatever comes your way, take it as an opportunity, because we are just beginner, and until and unless we brainstorm ourselves into that, we won't know that what it comprises of. So whatever
Yeah,
thing, the more you have on your plate, the more options you will have, obviously.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And so the roles like we discussed, so like there are a lot of roles apart from SWE. And like that, as we already said, that this is not that just SWE has a system design round or only other roles have. System
Mm.
design round is asked in any interview, can be asked in any interview, and like you will have to go through the interview process for it. And like companies we already mentioned, Bloomberg
Yeah,
asks it, coordination, I guess coordination also asks system
yeah.
design for interns. Yeah. And
Then there is
LLD,
common
I
like,
think. Yeah.
yeah,
LLD, I guess a lot of companies ask, and then in startups, I think machine coding round is getting very very popular nowadays. For machine coding rounds, it is there. So yeah, system design is like actually needed, and I would not say that just low level. I would say high level is also like very much coming into the picture nowadays. Like I had heard from, I don't remember the name of the company, but I had heard that when people ask about DBMS, then they can also ask few questions about system design. And also like if like they are asking about, let's say, computer networks, so they like the concepts of computer networks can also be connected to system design, or like while like when they discuss protocols and all, so like the protocols have been made keeping in mind of the large systems, right? So then that discussion goes into the system design as well. So yeah, this thing happens. So I would say that everyone should have like a general overview about it, so that at least they are able to like have some basic knowledge about system design. It's not that it's not at all asked for software engineers also, and
Yeah,
just asked in
exactly.
other roles, right? So yeah. And apart from that, would you be willing to share your interview experience for the SRE role at LinkedIn, SRE intern role, which you went through last year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my interviews were not really last year. This year itself, in January, I went through the interviews.
No, no,
So
like it started. No, could you please
yeah,
start from you applied? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So uh, I received a notification on LinkedIn that LinkedIn was hiring for SRE roles. I did not know before that what SREs do and what is this
Yeah.
role all about. To be very honest, like
Yeah.
everyone, as everyone does, I was also you know going through data success algorithm problems and all of those things, building my
Same here.
small applications, small wins.
Yeah.
Then getting to learn about SREs interested me because it was also very aligned to what I had been doing in the past. So I applied to the role without any referral. Then I got a call back from them that
From the LinkedIn job portal, right? From the
yeah,
LinkedIn
from the
easy
LinkedIn
apply.
job portal itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I received a mail that with the test online assessment round. So in
Yeah.
the online assessment round, there were three uh, three coding questions, few some MCQs, 26 MCQs, I guess,
Yeah.
which were on concepts like OS, DBMS, Linux, file systems, networking, all of those things.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there was also an SQL question that we were supposed to solve. So this was the online assessment round. After which I got a mail that I had cleared the round and the interviews were scheduled. So I had enough time to prepare myself for the rounds because there was a 10 to 15 days of gap between the results of the online assessments and my actual interviews. So
Okay.
so I had enough time in my hand, and I started preparing about system design concepts. The next rounds were as such that there were two technical rounds in a single day, and if I qualified that, then I would be going for the host managerial round. So my first technical interview was on operating systems, DBMS, networking, all the CSE fundamentals, Linux, file systems. There were also nuanced questions like, you know, what what do you understand by the RAM and concepts of
Yeah.
virtualization? Why is what is CDN? Why do you think do we actually require
What are
CDN
the
and all?
different protocols and all, everything
Yeah,
in depth? Yeah.
yeah, all of those protocols. So the conversations are such that if you are good at those subjects now, like OSDBMS, then it was a 1 hour long round. So interviewer would ask and I would
Keep
answer. So what? Yeah, exactly. What amount of time does it take to fire a question and then answer back?
exactly.
Hardly 1 minute. So
Not
they
even
are
a minute. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So they are not left with any option but to grill you on things like how can you connect it with the system design and what
Yeah.
are its importance into the real world scenario.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, you know about CDNs, but why are they used and how are they used? And do you know which are the companies that use them? Why do they
Yeah.
use them?
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, so they do really on that. So but the interviews were really nice. They first made me very comfortable. Of course I was nervous at start because it was my second interview itself. तो उसके बाद then the first interview got over and then I had a 5 minutes break and two new interviewers joined. This was the second technical round, and this was labeled as system design round that I was supposed to give.
I think it
So
was labeled as something like system
service design.
architecture.
Yeah, system. Mine was labeled as system slash service design round.
Okay, yeah.
Your might be a little bit different because they changed a little bit of hiring
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so this interview was such that two new people joined the call, and in the starting of the call they said that we are not here to judge you, so there is no right or wrong answers to any of your any of our questions, but we are only here to understand that how do you imagine systems, and how do you what do you understand, what is your understanding of the systems. So they first started asking me questions related to my projects, went through my CV, uh,
Yeah.
why what are the frameworks that I chose, and why did I choose them, what are the other domains that I explored during my college days. And then slowly and
You had
steadily
like
they,
data science projects, right? Which
yeah,
were
I
like
had a lot
totally
of data science
different from
projects.
system
Yeah,
design, not even web or Android or
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
So
was
like
one
how?
web project, but it was very like a mainstream project. So they were
Okay.
more, yeah. So they got interested in a Python project that was there in my CV, and they narrowed it down and asked me to design that particular. Asked me that how would you design this particular application in the real world scenario for real amount in the real scale, like for the real world, for real consumers. So I had prepared for system design rounds, but I did not know that they would be asking me for my project itself. So I started off very slow. Then they opened a drawing board in front of me, and then asked that you can draw your architecture that you are
Yeah.
supposed to draw.
Incorporated in your project, right?
Yeah. So I started drawing it. At first it was a very interactive round. So for at first I draw a very simple producer consumer architecture, where one side there was producer and on the side there were consumers, and they were communicating with each other. And then they started asking questions. So the pattern of the interview was such that I would be going out to draw certain level of architecture. Then they would propose a failure or a problem that may arise with my architecture, and then they would
Yeah.
ask me that how are you going to solve this. So I first had a database onto my architecture. Then they asked me, okay, you have mentioned DB, what is the DB that you suggest can be used over here. Then I answered that. Then they would ask like, how is your database going to look like, what are the tables, can you define them. So then the definition of the tables. Then they ask me like, okay, this works, but what if your application gets a lot amount of consumers, and you experience a great deal of traffic into your system, and how are you going to manage that. And obviously load balancer came into play, hashing, then consistent hashing, and all of those things. So
Yeah.
they take you to the point where you can saturate your knowledge up to
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So
Till you
they
get
start,
speechless, they keep asking.
yeah. Exactly. So it went around for 1.5 hour. They kept on asking question till the point where I did not know anything else. So they got a nice idea about my concepts and all, and then the interview was over.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So after this, there was this a managerial round. It was, I heard that the most of the candidates experienced 20 minutes round, but mine was 45 minutes round because I was convincing that though I have listed data science projects and all in my resume, I've also explored other domains as well. Where so I
Okay.
went on to describe those projects by
Yeah.
myself without any written proof, but I told him, right. So
Got it. Yeah.
yeah, so it was a longer round, but it was also very nice. All the interviews were very comforting in that sense.
So did you
Yeah.
face any like technical questions in your HR round, or was it just an HR round?
No, not really any technical questions, but no,
A lot
not
into
really any,
I guess. Yeah.
there were also questions around leadership skills, and conflict of interest with any other person, or what is your
Yeah.
aim in next 5 years, or those mainstream questions.
I guess like they for like your time when there was the OA thing, I guess they increased the time for us. I
Yeah,
think yours was 90 minutes, right? For us,
yeah,
it was 2 hours, and then there
yeah.
were three DSA questions, two SQL queries, then
Mm.
a lot of MCQs over all the networks, Linux, and distributed systems. Then I guess OS also, there were a lot of concepts around OS. So
Yeah.
after this after the OA was done, then as I already told, then 19 people were shortlisted ahead for interviews, and
Mm.
then I guess everything else was a similar way. That first two rounds, and then the combination feedback. If it is good, then they will proceed you further. Otherwise, they will eliminate you from there itself. And then
Mm.
after the host manager round, like the results were finally distributed. So yeah, that was the procedure was same. I guess the only change was in the OA.
Yeah.
Everything else was the same thing. Yeah.
No,
One
like
CS.
you all also had a session in between, right? Where they
Yeah, yeah.
introduced
The
you how
intern
the
preparatory session. Yeah.
that
Yeah,
that
the
that
interview preparatory. Yeah,
uh,
they just gave us like just a heads up on how to, like, go about for system design, as many people were scared, like students don't know. For at that time, that was around like fourth semester had just started. Fourth semester had just started in the month of, yeah, that was the month of August, right? So fourth sem had just started. For you, it was a bit late because your first was in January. So
yeah,
so ours was in August only. So they were like, the students were panicking, like, we have not even studied OS, we have not even studied oops DBMS, so how will we handle system design? So then they said that okay, there are a few resources here and there, like School of SRE and all. So yeah, so that was just to like calm themselves down that this you have to study from these resources and all. And obviously, I guess the interviewers at LinkedIn are very, very accommodating. Like, you can just mention to them that I have studied these subjects, and then they will ask you from those subjects. Unless like it's very less that you just say that I have studied only DSA, so that is not going to work, obviously, because they want
yeah.
to ask these fundamentals. So yeah,
Mm.
like as I told you, in my case, in my CS fundamentals round, I had studied computer networks, I had studied Linux, but since I had never really worked on it, so I had studied it 2 3 days before my interviews. But when he asked me, so I just took a shot that okay, yeah, I can like just tell him that I have studied oops OS DBMS and system design, and I totally told him that no, I have not studied computer networks, I have not studied Linux.
Uh,
So yeah, so I took the shot, and then when I was able, the thing that matters is your performance, like how much, like whatever you tell, you should be able to tell, like
mm.
answer around 80% of the questions,
Yeah.
because it is like your viva, but stretching up to 1 hour. So there were like a lot of questions. He's questioning, we are continuously answering till the point we get speechless. And yeah, so that was the thing about my first round. And for the second one, the thing was that he asked me all the questions about HLD, all the concepts. He asked me about cap theorem, horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, fault tolerance, cache invalidation, and actually he asked me a lot of questions about like in which situations will you prefer like sharding, and in which situations you will prefer like everything. He asked me a lot into the systems, I would say. He asked me a lot, and then he gave me an system to design as well, which was really somewhat similar to like the Covid app. Like there was this Covid app trending at that time, right? People were booking their vaccination slots and all. So he was like, he asked me something about that. So yeah, for the second round was over within 20 minutes for me because I was able to answer all of the questions. And he went in like, oh, you must already be knowing this, but still tell me this. I think he said this more than 20 times. At one point, I was like, why is he even asking me if he knows that I know? So yeah, it went like that. And after this, the host manager round, as you said, it went the same way.
Mm.
So yeah, this was the internship experience. And you can also share about your system design experience in the interviews of browser stack. It was like low level.
Yeah. So, as I said, the difference between high level and low level design interviews are low level design interviews. You are actually expected to code it out in
Yeah.
your on your system. So what happened is that firstly there was this online assessment round. I have forgotten the dates and all the timelines. I'll
No issues.
Yeah. So, firstly, I applied via referral. Uh, a post that I came across on LinkedIn itself, that one of the senior engineers were looking out for candidates whom he can refer. So
Okay.
I messaged him that, hey, can you refer me? And I was referred to that particular role, and then I received the online assessment round link, and then I attempted it. So there were two very easy data success algo questions, and the third one was uh, a complex algorithm question, you know. Which was linked with concepts of networking. So you were supposed to use data sets as an algorithm itself, but the uh, question was framed in a fashion that you have to have some knowledge about networking and IP addresses and all. So after those three questions, two of them were very easy, as I mentioned. So both of them I was able to clear, but the third one, I was facing some error, and three of the test cases were in passing. Uh, I don't know if I had the time, maybe I would have debugged, but yeah, three of the test cases did not pass. But still, I received the link for the interviews. So the first interview was itself the machine coding round, where my where five of us joined a Zoom call, and we were supposed to uh, design and we were supposed to design an application and show that particular application, how is it working, and proof of result of that particular application.
Okay.
So yeah, so five of us joined the call. He first sent us via mail the problem and the application that we were supposed to build. And here, some knowledge about distributed systems and sockets came into the picture with that particular
Okay.
problem. Yeah. So I cannot share that exact problem, but these were the concepts involved, and
Yeah.
we were given 2 hours to solve that. So I implemented it and solved it. It was running fine on my system. I showed it to my interviewer, and he said that okay, well and good. After this, the round got cleared, and then there was another technical round, which was taken by one of the managers at Browser Stack itself. But uh, but it was a technical round itself. So
Okay.
it started with my past experiences, what projects I had on my resume, uh, what are my interests and all, and then it went on to concepts on networking, then Linux fundamentals. Then
Yeah.
what happens if you those mainstream questions of system design, like what happens where if you type www.google.com
Yeah.
on your browser, how is the DNS
DNS and all.
yeah, how is it working and all. Then he went on to ask me about hashing and also data success algorithm questions. uh, so it was also a 1 hour 60 to 80 60 to 70 minutes round, and then
Okay.
that round also got over. After that, there was this HR round, which mainly focused upon my interest and my cultural fit with browser stack, and also my leadership skills and my aims in 5 years down the line and all of those things. Yeah, so
Okay.
this was the main procedure of browser stack.
Got it. So, yeah. And would you like to share anything about your internship experience at LinkedIn? Like, after clearing all these system design rounds, how did you manage to work there as an SRE intern? Like, what all
Yeah,
things you experienced there?
yeah, sure. Yes, to jot down the whole internship, I guess it would be too much of a thing on this stream. But I share how system design concepts really helped me during my internship. So I'll mention a very basic thing. Like during the start of my internship, I used to attend these meetings and stand-ups with my team, and I did not used to understand anything that they used to talk about. So they would be using jargons. I would not know what internal architecture that LinkedIn is actually working on. What are the applications? What are the things that my team is working on? Even though I asked, whatever answer that I gave got was
Yeah.
generally used to bounce over my head. So while sitting in meetings, I would not know anything. But but in a scenario like this, let's suppose someone is talking about one of my teammates mentioned that uh, this application that we built, we need to rebalance the host of that particular application, and we need to scale it. So then I like understand, okay, they are but actually talking about an application. Had I not known about concepts of system design, I wouldn't have understood what microservices they are talking about, what hosts are, what scalability
Yeah.
actually is. So these things actually helped me in the
System
first
design.
first part of the yeah
Yeah.
first part
Help.
of the internship experience. But
Yeah.
even while working there, I had to keep learning more and more about system design, and I guess everyone keeps learning about system design throughout their journey into this industry. Because I was supposed to build what my task was, that I was supposed to build an internal tool which was a web application, uh, which was supposed to be built in a distributed fashion. So I had to know about, and my team was Kafka. So I had to know about what Kafka is, how message queues work, how distributed systems work, then master slave architecture, and all of those things, how all these things work. So I was duly given proper material from them in order to understand this. And since I already had a head start, so I was a bit confident about all of these concepts, because I knew system design concepts from before joining the internship. Or else I would have been spending more and more time into these brainstorming myself into these concepts. So it
Yeah.
it helped me in that fashion. Apart from this, the internship experience was really fine. But the scenario is like, you cannot really say that you can experience a very good
Yeah.
work life balance when you are actually chasing a pre-placement offer in a particular internship, whatever company it be. But if your teammates and your co-workers are really helpful, then it gets very easier. Like, if I, in the starting, when I used to get overwhelmed, then I would be very frank with my manager, like, I'm not understanding shit in this in these stand-ups that I'm attending. uh, I feel a bit overwhelmed, what would you suggest? Then he would calm me down, like, yeah, it is expected, you are not here to know all of these things in a week or two. Will slowly, gradually learn all of these things. So yeah, system design concepts have helped me during the internship, and still uh, I keep learning more about system design concepts, because that is a thing that people should focus on in colleges. They are only teaching things like OS, networking, and all of those things, without telling us that how is it actually into the real world.
Yeah. And so, like, would you be like willing to share some resources about system design so that people are able to get a head start? As it is like a lot confusing. I can already see the comments. Like, people are thinking that you will be asked everything around the internal architecture, how everything works. So that is not the case. That happens. You are not expected to know everything. That is why I asked him to share his experience, because this is not the way it works. That you need to know everything. Even the senior managers don't know everything, so you are not
Yeah.
expected to know. So can you like share some resources which helped you learn the amount of system design you need to crack interviews? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like, as I said, that during the preparation of LinkedIn interviews, I had 10 to 15 days. So I went through resources. Like, firstly, there is a system design primer, but it is
Yeah,
a very huge GitHub repository. So
yeah,
it is
that
not
is like
really possible to go
immense.
through all of it.
Yeah,
So generally, concepts related to things that one is learning in college, right? So system design primer is written in such a fashion that people who have knowledge of DBMS or operating system, they can head over to the contents related to those particular topics only, and it is written in such a way that it will explain you what out of those concepts that you already know is actually being used into the industry.
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
system design primer. Then of course, Gaurav Sen videos are a great help to everyone. Really
Yeah.
nice initiative. Then there is also LinkedIn School of SRE, which
Yeah.
I went to, which is actually also a GitHub repository that LinkedIn engineers and SREs have only created in order to better onboard the SREs that join LinkedIn. So there also the system design section is very nice, and they are also adding more and more content onto it
Yeah.
with more and more contributors. Also, they
Google
have,
has also something similar, like School of SRE, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Google also has a dedicated channel, I guess, related to SRE, or a
Yeah.
dedicated playlist related to SRE concepts at Google.
Yeah.
So Google was the first one to introduce SREs in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these were the resources. Apart from this, there is also a channel called Let Us DevOps, then pseudo code, I guess, and then there is also a educative course called Grokking the System Design
Yeah.
Interview. It is
Actually, I
a good.
prepared
uh,
that course itself. It is like paid one, but what I did was like find that it is there in GitHub repositories.
uh,
So I studied that course from GitHub. Somebody had uploaded it on GitHub. Thanks to that person, and I studied from there itself. So yeah, that is like a pretty organized course. Yeah.
yeah, that is
So
very organized notes where you will get concepts like how do you build onto a crawler or a Facebook or Twitter
yeah,
and all those things.
yeah, it covers most of the aspects of system design, like
Yeah,
scale or the cap theorem, scalability, everything it covers. Even if like a person does not have foundational knowledge of DBMS or computer network, then also that person will be able to understand if he or she reads that the course. It is like very well curated. Yeah.
exactly.
So I guess here we come to an end. So it was a really great sharing your experience. I guess many people would like be able to see things more clearly that yes, system design is also asked, and yes to freshers. And so yeah, it will be great if like more people explore this domain because it's like very very interesting. System design, especially high level design, is like very interesting, at least to
Exactly.
me. So yeah, like I'll be linking all the resources in the description. So yeah, that is not an issue. And like if you want, you can take in any like doubts in the comments. You can see.
Yeah, or can ping any of us, Tanya or me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I guess like mostly when we were talking at that time, people were concerned like we have to cover all the aspects of system design, which is like not the case at all. Like we do not need to know everything about the internal working. So yeah,
Yeah, one thing I'd like to share, like people who, it is overwhelming to receive invitations for system design rounds in your
yeah,
mail if you are a fresher or for internships. Even I got
exactly,
really yeah, I
exactly.
got really overwhelmed and pinged all of my seniors that what is this, man. That, but they
Yeah,
yeah, but that is a thing that you can leverage, right? As in when you go to the senior roles, then you would be it is very conventional to ask system design concepts in interviews, but
yeah,
as a fresher, they know that these things are really not taught to the to college students. But I guess that is for this scenario holds for next 2 or 3 years only. After that, it will be a mainstream thing to go for system design
yeah,
rounds for filtering candidates. But
yeah,
still, people who are having this particular opportunity right now can leverage it, because there these interviews are the ones where you can say maximum number of no's. Not
yeah,
like data structures and algorithm where you are
exactly.
given a particular question and you are not able to solve it, so I cannot solve it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but system design concepts interviews are very interactive. You can be very casual with the interviewer, like, yeah, I do not know, I have not read about this concept. and
Yeah.
they are they do
Here
understand.
you are like really appreciated if you are trying to think something. And if you are trying to think something in a DSA interview, like if the question is of DP and you are trying to think in terms of binary search, then I'm sure you will not be appreciated at all. But
In
that is
first
not the
interview
case
से
with
भी
system.
अच्छा हो गया.
Yeah. And one more thing, it was that system design is important for all the roles or only for SRE roles. It is also there in Google application engineer roles. And then if you are like going for software engineering roles for freshers like SD1 roles, then also yeah, it is important. It can be
Yeah.
asked
Yes,
while discussing.
Sprinkler, Atlassian, all of them ask filter candidates via system design round.
Yeah.
Any of the developer. For Sprinkler, they hire front end engineers, back end engineers, and they have dedicated system design rounds. Then there is Atlassian for all of their dev roles. For freshers, also they have started filtering candidates via system design round. So it is very common now, and it is becoming more and more common.
Yeah, I'm sure it will become more common in future
Yeah,
considering the amount of competition.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it was a great session and it was very insightful.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess many people were like able to receive the new information and get something out of it. So yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess like we have discussed everything about the resources also, and I'll definitely link the resources in the description. So, okay, one more question. But for
Okay.
SD roles, basic LLD is enough, right?
You cannot ever be sure of that, right?
Yeah,
There will be there are companies who take 6 to 7 rounds of interviews. There are companies who even take high level design rounds plus low level design rounds, and you cannot really be sure. If you are very good with the CS fundamentals, then the interviewer is left with no choice but to ask you, push you towards
yeah,
grilling concepts of system design. So
yeah.
it is an interesting topic. People should start leveraging it.
Are there any other companies that hire SRE intern?
Sorry, and I know Apple,
There,
Cisco.
Apple, yeah. Cisco, yes, Cisco is also
There
there.
is Rubrik,
App,
mm,
mm,
and there is
yeah.
Cred
I
as
think even Nutanix also asks a
yeah,
lot of system design.
yeah. Nutanix has a lot of SRE engineers on
Yeah,
campus, off campus, both. Even Cred. So yeah, Cred also hires SRE interns. Cisco also hires
yeah. And how to prepare database design and system design.
database
Yeah,
design and okay. So as I mentioned, this system design primer is segmented into topics. Like after you have gathered all your knowledge in database management systems from your college or any other resources, whatever resources that you prefer. There are a lot of channels in YouTube or any of the things. Then you can head over to system design primer, where there are dedicated sections. What I did was that I first uh, got a got a good amount of idea about what database management systems are, and then I head over to the DBMS section of system design
yeah,
primer in order to understand that how is it actually helpful in the real world scenario. That is
yeah,
a very good path to follow.
yeah.
We are not giving
And
roadmaps over here.
definitely. So for front end developer roles, they will ask questions from architectures used in frameworks or like something else. They can
Architectures.
also always ask from your projects, right? So if you
Yeah,
have done any front end project, then they can always ask, and they can ask something else also.
yeah,
It's not,
exactly.
they will,
Like
there is no
Sprinkler
limit.
hires for front end engineers, and they have a separate round for system design.
Yeah.
Hmm.
SRE versus SD, which is better.
That is not that is not an argument to be made.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
in college, no one can really decide like what is better and all. it can be better for you, it cannot, it can be worse for the other one.
Yeah. Actually, it depends a lot on interest, and SRE job is like very difficult. If you are
Mm.
like not very much interested in it, I don't think you will be able to fare very well in that job. Some SD was telling me this, so like you can take my word for it. Yeah. And also, like if you are talking in terms of compensation, then I guess SDs and SREs are paid almost similar, or SRE is somewhat higher than SD.
Yeah,
Like,
it no, it is nothing like it is a very wrong concept to have in anyone's head that people who are similar to SD roles, that are similar to SD roles but are not labeled as SD roles, are support roles or are paid less. That is not
exactly.
the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah,
That is not the
that is
case. In at LinkedIn now, SREs and SDs get paid this, paid equivalently, and most of the places also, like Nutanix hires a great deal of SREs because they require so. And
yeah.
I have not seen really many people getting hired as SDs at Nutanix. So it
Yeah.
depends from company to company, but the compensation is nowhere less.
Yeah. Any resources? Okay, I'll link the resources later after the session gets over. Oh, I guess no more questions are left. Yeah. So I guess we are done here. Yeah, I can't see any other question. Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool discussing about system design.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess we
Thank
can
you.
finally end here. Yeah.
Sure.
So bye.
Bye bye bye.
Bye.